Welcome to the video demonstration on how to make this lemon pattern. Items that you will need to make this pattern will be a bulky yarn in a yellow color, a brown pipe cleaner, green worsted weight yarn for the leaf, 12mm safety eyes, some makeup blush if you want pink cheeks, some black yarn for a mouth detail, along with some white yarn, both worsted weight for an under eye detail, a J hook, an E hook, a yarn needle, a stitch marker, and a pair of scissors. I'm going to start this pattern with a chain 2 method instead of a magic ring. I feel like it's a little bit easier for this pattern. So go ahead and make a slip knot. Insert your hook in there, and we're going to chain 2. So with your working yarn, yarn over and pull it through that loop. That's 1. And do that one more time to chain 2. Now we're going to place 6 single crochets into that second chain from your hook. So go into that chain. This will begin your round 1 of this pattern. So we're going to make 6 single crochets into this stitch to create the first round. So I'm going to pull my working yarn through. I'll have 2 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull it through both loops to create my first single crochet. And then back into that same stitch until we have made 6 single crochets. Now that we have 6 single crochets, we are going to join to the first single crochet we made with a slip stitch. So I'm going to insert into that first stitch. Bulky yarn, in my opinion, is a little harder to see where the stitches are, so you may have to feel. Here are the 2 top loops of my stitch, and I can feel where to insert my hook. I'm going to yarn over and pull that through. I have 2 loops on the hook, and I'm just going to take this first loop and pull it through the second to slip stitch. And that closes that round. Then I'm going to chain 1. Your chain 1 will not count in our stitch count. Now we're going to increase in each stitch of this round. An increase means for this pattern that we will place 2 single crochets into each stitch. So by the end of round 2, we'll have made 12 single crochets. So I'm going to insert my hook into that next stitch here, single crochet. I'm going to slip a stitch marker in and go back into the same stitch and single crochet again. So now we've increased, and I'm going to increase all the way around. And again, we will end up with 12 single crochets by the time we get to the end of this round. I'm in my last stitch of the round here, so there's my 12th single crochet, and then right here you're going to see this was our chain 1, which is not going to count in our stitch count, and we're going to slip stitch to join. So I'm going to move my stitch marker out, insert my hook into that first stitch, slip stitch to close that round, and chain 1, and I'm beginning round 3. Now the reason that I am doing a join with a slip stitch on this pattern is because I feel like it gives my lemon a more round appearance than just working in a continuous spiral does. And you won't see the seam on this pattern from that join because of the bulky yarn. It tends to camouflage it a little bit. If you're using regular yarn and you're doing a slip stitch with a chain 1 to join, you can sometimes see, that seam go across the back of your work, but with the bulky yarn it will be hidden. And so again, I just feel like it gives our lemon a little bit more of a round appearance when not working in a spiral, a continuous spiral. So we are increasing for round 3 again, so I'm going to place 2 single crochets into this first stitch and continue increasing around. So by the end of round 3, then we will have made 24 single crochets. Again, these stitches can be a little hard to see with bulky yarn, so I like to feel where the stitch is and where to insert my hook. Kind of leave my thumb right there as a guide. Last stitch right here, so this will be 23 and 24. There's our chain 1. I'm going to slip stitch to the first stitch, and for round 4 we're going to go into that next stitch and make 1 single crochet in each stitch around for this round. So we will have made 24 single crochets by the time we get to the end of this round. Last stitch here, let's join. Chain 1. Now in this round, we're going to begin to decrease. I'm going to kind of push my work in as I'm going here, tighten my center. You'll know that your work is right side out if your starting tail is on the inside. For this round, we're going to make 1 single crochet in the next 6 stitches, and then we will decrease. So let's start. Here's right into that next stitch after our join. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. And now let's decrease. So we're doing a 2 together decrease. I'm going to insert my hook into the next stitch, pull the working yarn up so I have a loop on the hook, go immediately into the next stitch, pull the working yarn up. So now I have 3 loops on the hook. I'm going to yarn over with the working yarn and pull through all 3 loops on the hook. So now I have taken those 2 stitches down to 1, and that's our decrease. So at the end of this round, we'll have made 21 stitches. So let's do this again. 1 single crochet into the next 6 stitches, followed by a decrease. Okay, increase here, like insert, pull up, into the next stitch, insert, pull up, yarn over and through all 3. Last decrease of our round right here. Let's join to the first stitch of the round with a slip stitch, chain 1, and for the next round we're just going to place 1 single crochet in each stitch around. So by the end of this round we will have made 21 single crochets. Okay, let's join here. And for this round, we're going to make 1 single crochet in the next 5 stitches, followed by a decrease. Here's our last decrease of this round. Let's join. Now for this round, we're going to make 1 single crochet followed by a decrease. And that will repeat all the way around. So by the end of this round, we will have made 12 single crochets. Here's our last decrease of this round. I'm going to go ahead and join with a slip stitch, chain 1, and then I am going to my stitch marker right there. I'm going to give myself some room there and take that off for right now because we're going to make the face and stuff our lemon. So here's our lemon so far. Works up super fast and will really take shape, of course, once we stuff it. But now I'm going to put my eyes in, and I'm not going to attach the backs yet until I have all the details that I would like. And I'm going to put them between round 5 and 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to put the first one right here. And then I'm gonna make them about 3 stitches apart. 1, 2, 3. So there's where my eyes are so far. Now I want to go ahead and create a little bit of an under eye detail with the white yarn. So you can use an embroidery needle for this part if you would like, if it's easier for you to work with a smaller needle. But I'm going to go up at the top of the eye. And then bring it down to a stitch on the other side. Pull that through. And just kind of use my finger and my needle to gently keep it into place. And then once we secure the backs, see if you pull too tight, that's what's going to happen. I'm going to use the backs to secure the yarn further in place once I have it where I want it. Since I accidentally pulled it all the way through, let's try again. I'm going to hold on this time with my finger so I don't do that again. There's one eye with some white yarn kind of around the bottom, and I'm going to do the other eye. Of course, this detail is optional. You do not have to do it. I just really like that little bit of extra detail. Once I have those in place, I'm going to tie those ends together and just drop them inside of the lemon. And then I'm going to pop the backs on. Since I'm not making eyelashes or anything else, I'm just going to pop the backs on to those eyes. Click, and then it's secured in place. And again, that will help hold that white under eye detail in place. And the other thing that I do sometimes to give it a little bit of extra, to make it extra secure, is I take white glue and I will just put like a little dot of white glue when I'm completely done stuffing it to make sure that it stays exactly where I want it. Okay, now that I've done that, I'm going to make the mouth. So I have a little bit of black yarn here. Cut a small piece. And right between the eyes, I'm going to center the mouth to make a little smile, about 1 round below the eyes. Go a couple stitches over just so it's centered. And then again, I'm going to use glue to sort of shape that into place and get that where I want it. So now that that's on, I'm going to tie those ends together inside and stuff. Let's grab our stuffing. A little bit of stuffing here. I'm just going to go gently and shape my lemon, getting it down into the bottom for that pointy part in rounds 1 and 2. now that we've stuffed our lemon, let's go ahead and work on closing our item with this final round. So we're going to decrease all the way around. So I'm going to get my hook back in here, tighten that back up so I'm ready to move forward. I've already joined, so I know this is my first stitch. I've already made that chain 1, so I'm going to start decreasing. So insert into that next stitch, pull up, we have 3 on the hook, yarn over, I'll insert my stitch marker, and we're going to decrease all the way around. So by the end of this round, we will have made 6 single crochets. Okay, here's our last one. And now the difference will be, I am not going to join. I'm going to cut the working yarn, leaving a long tail. I'm going to fasten off, so pull that through, and we will weave the top closed. To do that, I'm going to get my stitch marker out of the way, and I'm going to thread my yarn needle. Now I'm going to grab my pipe cleaner, because we will need that. So I have a pipe cleaner, and it's about a little over 1 inch, and I'm going to fold it over because I want to make just a really small stem. And I'm going to twist it a little so it stays together. And I'm going to have that handy with my glue. The glue is optional, but I feel like it just helps the stem stay a little bit more secure. So I'm going to close my lemon by taking our threaded yarn needle with that tail we left for sewing up under the first loop, front loop, because you have the back loop here and the front loop here of that next stitch. And I'm going to take that yarn needle under those front loops all the way around. Okay, so I've gone through all 6 of those, and I'm going to start to gently pull that yarn needle and that tail of yarn so it cinches closed. Now, before I get it all the way closed, I'm going to take my pipe cleaner stem. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on the end. Doesn't need a lot, just a little bit. Kind of move it around. And then I'm going to insert the stem right into the center and then gently pull that string until it's all the way closed around that stem. Then to secure my yarn tail, I'm just going to pass it through the body of the lemon. And then I'm going to trim it away. Shape as needed. I've got my stem in place. And so while I've got the glue out, like I said, I'm going to put just a little bit up under that white eye detail on both sides to help it be extra secure. It'll dry clear, and then this will help with your mouth shaping too, so kind of give it that extra shape. I'm going to put that right up under that yarn and hold that in place for just a little bit. Final detail for the face, I want to give my lemon rosy cheeks. So I've got a makeup brush and just some dollar store blush. And I'm going to go right outside the corner of each eye and gently layer on makeup blush until the cheeks are rosy. Again, all of these steps are optional. You can make your lemon look however you would like. let's move on to the final detail, which is the leaf for the stem. Okay, leaf is super quick. So we are going to make a slip knot with our green medium weight yarn and our E-hook, and we are going to chain 5. Now we are going to work both sides of this chain to create a leaf. So in the second chain from the hook, we're going to slip stitch. So insert your hook, pull up the working yarn, and then pull that first loop through the next. There's our slip stitch. In the next stitch, we're going to single crochet. Insert the hook, pull up the working yarn, 2 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through both. In the next stitch, we're going to create a half double crochet, so yarn over with the working yarn before you insert your hook into that next stitch. Pull up the working yarn so you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pulling through all 3. That's a half double crochet. And in the final stitch of this chain row, we are going to make a double crochet. So yarn over, insert the hook, pull up the working yarn so that you have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pulling your working through yarn through only the first 2 on the hook. That'll leave you with 2 more. Yarn over and pull through those final 2, and you've created your double crochet. Now we're going to turn this and work the back side. And we're just gonna mirror the stitches we just made. So if we turn this and we work the back side of the chain, we're going to yarn over and go just directly across on the back side of the one we just completed. Yarn over, pulling up so that we have 3 loops on the hook, yarn over going through just the first 2, and then yarn over going through the last 2, and you've created a double crochet. And we're going to half double crochet into the next. So yarn over, go into that next stitch on the back side, pulling up, we have 3 on, yarn over, pulling through all 3, a single crochet in the next. So insert your hook, pull up your loop, 2 on the hook, yarn over, pulling through both of those, and then a slip stitch in the final stitch. So insert your hook, pulling through your working yarn, and then pull that first loop through the next. And we are done. So I'm gonna fasten off, leaving a tail for sewing. So here's the little leaf that we've created for the top of our lemon. You can pull your starting tail if you need to close any gaps in the center. And I'm going to thread our yarn needle with the finishing tail and bring it down, just down the back side of that leaf so I can get more towards where we're starting. That's the back side of the leaf. And I've got both tails by each other now. Here's the right side facing, and I'm going to just sew this right next to our stem. So I already have one yarn tail threaded. I'm going to come up under the stem and then I'm going to thread the other yarn tail onto my needle, come up under, just sewing this in place right next to our stem. Pass those yarn tails through once you've sewn it in place. And then you can trim away those extras and tuck it inside. You'll see those. I'm just going to use the end. Tuck those in. Shape a little bit. And now we've completed our lemon. I hope you enjoyed the pattern.